Why hello you lovely people on the internet. I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing okay. Yeah, the Fiesta's still here on my drive. The reason it hasn't gone anywhere is because 1 minute the clutch was working and the next minute it wasn't. So what I ended up doing, I ended up pulling off the gearbox again, making sure the clutch was okay, thrust bearing was okay, everything was okay. Checked the pipe, checked fluid. I even changed fluid because the fluid I had didn't look right, so I got like proper 4-dot, what we call brake fluid over in England. Yeah, so it's called 4-dot. It's very good stuff. I've always used it. But yeah, so I drained out the system and still nothing. Still only had about, I'd say about half a clutch, and that was it. You could put it in gear and turn the engine on, it wasn't a problem, but as soon as you take it out of gear, it would not go back in. So tracing it all the way back, the last thing left is this master cylinder. This is what sits under your this is what sits with your clutch pedal. As you can see, it's got an in and an out. It might be the other way around, I'm not too sure, but in and out, and there's your pump there. Now when it was under the car, I could see weeping. Can you see all this dampness? So I mean, like I've said in previous videos, it was sitting on the drive for a long while, about 4 years I think it was sitting on someone's drive. So rubbers deplete, stuff happens, and yeah, I think that this is absolutely knackered. Unfortunately, it's not a part that you can take apart and have a good old look at, but for this video I do want to see where it's failed, if it's failed around here or the actual pump inside has failed, because there should be like a rubber diaphragm in there, so when this pushes down, diaphragm obviously pushes down, pushes the fluid out the bottom there, so it's under pressure when it goes through the system. After it's left this system, it's not under pressure, because otherwise you would always be pushing the clutch otherwise. So this is what gives you the pressure first of all on your first push of the clutch, and it will keep it down to a certain pressure. It won't go above a certain pressure, because like I just said, otherwise it engages the clutch all the time. So this is set at certain pressure, so when you push the pedal you get like, I don't know what it is, I think it's 3 psi, or maybe more, I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. Like I said in previous videos, this is just purely entertainment. Don't take me literal on anything. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop it in a bit, and yeah, what I'm going to do is use a little grinder, and you see this edge here, I don't know if you can see that, it's like the casting of the actual thing. So if I try and split it down there, then I can see what's actually happening inside. If I can't, I'm just going to destroy the casing so we can see inside and see what's actually happened to this. So yeah, when you next see this, I'll be indoors, and I should have cut it open, and then I can show you the intent inside and see what's actually failed on it. Alright, I'll see you soon, you lovely people out there on the interwebs, and yeah, see you in a bit. Hello you lovely people out there on the interwebs. As promised from the last clip, I've took the slave off, no, the master. This is the master, slave is what sits in the gearbox. So this is the master, this is what sits under the pedal. It sits somewhere like that, and then obviously the pedal pushes this plunger here, pushes that, and that's your in fluid and that's your out fluid on the pressurized side. Now, like I said in the previous video, I weren't too sure on this if it was faulty or not, so we just went and bought a new one anyway, just to give us a peace of mind. Unfortunately, it wasn't faulty. This wasn't the problem with the car, unfortunately. But I still cut it. Like I said, I was going to and have a look inside so I can show you. So I'll just take that off. There you go. That's basically the plunger. Plunger there. That's a rubber seal there. That's rubber. So that's the outer seal. That's what stops it coming out here. Okay. That seal there stops that coming out there and coming out at the bottom there. So that's that seal. Right, this all come apart last time. This is doing my head in. Why does it always do it when I'm filming? There we go. Right. This is the plunger. Now obviously it's like a bike pump. It just goes like that. I'm not going to be too rude about it. But yeah, that's your plunger. And on the end there, can you see that opening? That's where that pressure side of it is. I'd say it's a one-way check valve. So it only lets a certain amount of pressure from the pedal to the clutch. Otherwise, if you keep putting pressure onto it, it would just keep going and going and going and going, and eventually you'll burst the master inside the clutch. So this is what stops that. It's a regulator valve. It's probably set to something like I don't know, 2 psi, maybe 1 psi. Like I've said in many previous videos, don't quote me on anything. I'm not an expert. So, and then that plunger is in there. You've got an inner seal just in there, just there. That's your main seal in there. That's what creates the pressure. And then you've got this outer seal here. See that? I don't know if you can pick that up. But yeah, you've got an outer seal as well. So that's what allows you to put pressure into the system and allows you to depress the clutch. Now on to the actual problem. After we did this, we put a new one on. It still had the same problem. I was only getting half of the clutch in play. So the best way to describe it, instead of 100%, I was only getting 50%. And that's it. No matter what I did, I bled it, put pressure in the system. Had someone sitting inside going up and down with the pedals, saying up, down, the usual routine that you go through. Nothing, unfortunately, nothing worked at the time. So we had to go back and look inside the gearbox. So we went back inside. The way we did that was we took the start motor off, and when we took the start motor off, we was able to look inside. So the first thing I did when I looked inside, obviously, is check all the bolts were tight. There's 6 bolts that hold the clutch to the flywheel. So I checked all them. My son spun the engine as I was checking them. They were all fine. So then our next option was we needed to see what was actually going on inside the gearbox. Was the master depressing the clutch properly, or was the clutch working properly? So the only way to do that was to get a camera. So luckily my dad had this, and it was so good. I'm already ordered one. It's on its way, so it'll be going in my toolbox. So hopefully I should be able to record some footage from this device here. I'm not too sure though. I only used it once, but it was so helpful, because when we looked into the gearbox, we could actually see what was going on. We could see the thrust bearing was actually working. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the thrust bearing inside the gearbox. And then our eyes turned attention to the clutch. So what we could see of the clutch was basically this. So this is the front of the clutch. So what we could see is these fingers here, for one, they're wrong in itself. They're literally flat on this plate. Well, they shouldn't be flat. They should be out here a bit. They only go a little bit flatter when you screw the actual plate to the flywheel. These will go down a little bit, but not a lot. But these are right down. As you can see, it's completely flat. If I do that, can you see them? How flat they are? So it was a matter of taking the gearbox off again. Obviously there's something wrong with this clutch, so we took it off, and lo and behold, when we flipped it over, I'm sure you can hear it. The reason why this clutch went like this, I'll just give you a quick, it's when we was doing the engine rebuild and the clutch rebuild, this got left outside for some reason. Totally forgot about it. Obviously it got weathered, it got some rust on it. But I was hoping, you know, it was just surface rust. So I went over it with the wire brush, got as much off as I could, obviously sprayed up what I could, and then wiped it off, because you don't want any oils or anything going on to your main clutch ring. So I thought I got it. Obviously not, because as you know, rust is like cancer. You leave it anywhere, it'll just go on to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So obviously I had that problem. So when we took the clutch off, the reason these fins, or I'm not too sure what you call them, but the reason why these are all down is because you're supposed to have an inner ring to hold it, and this is what we found. Now, I shouldn't be able to take this inner ring off. You can see why I can. That's why I can. Because like I said, a little bit of rust like that probably started there, and then it's ended up on that weakest part there. As you can see, it had rust everywhere. So I took the risk. I thought it should be all right. I've put semi-rusty clutch thrust plates back before, and they've been absolutely fine. But obviously the rust got into the weakest part of the clutch, which I would say was this, because this is a main part of the clutch. It sits on these posts here. These posts hold it down. You should have 6 of them. You can't put this in, so even if I fix this, I mean, because I can weld it, I could probably plate it, whatever, fix it. The problem you've got then is this goes on first, and then this goes on last. This is the last thing to go on to this thrust plate. As you can see, it's all pot riveted. It's all machined, riveted down. The thing that hits that down is really strong. It's like a huge dramatic I can't say the word, but it's massive, put it that way. So I wouldn't have a chance in hell in getting these out. As you can see, all these are what you'd have to get out to get that plate out, this main plate here. So I'm not going to do that. It'd be a waste of time when I can just go and get a new one, which I'm going to do. I'm going to be getting a new one in the next couple of days. Again, I'm not going to film that. I've showed you before in previous videos. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this is the last thing we need to do. Put a new clutch in, new clutch plate, new clutch, and I am going to put a new master in as well, new master slave, just because, again, I don't want to stick it back not knowing the history and it pops on me, and then I've got to take the gearbox off for the 5th time. Yes, this is the 4th time I'm taking this gearbox off to try and solve this problem. But like I've said again in previous videos, I want to be as honest as possible, because I hate watching these videos and they go, oh, just do this and this is what happens. Yeah, but what happens when it doesn't do that? You don't explain that, do you? No. You don't explain how many times you've had to go back to certain things to make sure they're all right, they're screwed down and all the rest of it. But this is the reality, people. It's not always smooth sailing. It's not always going to go back together the way you want. Even professionals make mistakes. Mistakes are happened. So my mistake was trusting myself to put this in, and it's not going to rust whilst it's sitting on the driveway in a car not being used. The worst thing to do with anything like this is not use it. If I would have put it in the car and used it straight away, maybe it would have kept the rust at bay, maybe. But again, don't quote me on that. It's not fact. I'm not saying that's fact. That's just what I think. But as a rule, what I should have done is what I normally do is just replace everything like this, especially clutches, because there's such hard labour. And what I mean by that, they're not hard to do. It's just a lot of cars take a lot of time to get their gearboxes off and access to the clutch and the fly plate. So yeah, rule of thumb, just always, if you've always got your gearbox off and you're doing it, do the gearbox seals. So the one that sits behind this, you got a shaft that comes into this. So, and on the shaft on the gearbox, which would be up here, you've got a rubber seal. So whilst you've got the gearbox off, do that seal, do your drive shaft seals either side, and then obviously replace your clutch plate, your clutch, and your master. I can't show you the master because it's on the gearbox in my shed and I'm not pulling it out. So, but yeah, rule of thumb: if you ever take anything off like this, your gearbox, and you're not too sure about it, just bin it, just get rid of it. Even if you think it's all right, because I mean, this clutch, the clutch plate wasn't that bad. It wasn't down to the rivets or anything like that. But as you can see, again, like I said, it got left outside, unfortunately. I thought I put it somewhere safe, but it was outside in the elements, and that break is the result of it. So there you go. Up and coming videos will be still coming on the Fiesta, definitely. We've got cams coming, we've got pistons coming, loads and loads of good stuff. So yeah, stay tuned. Give this video a thumbs up and a like if you liked it. If not, then see you on the next one. So yeah, you take care, all you lovely people out there on the interweb. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys, girls.